Good evening, beautiful woman. Welcome to Isaya's Inspiring Evenings, a podcast full of goddess stories, witches' secrets, colours of women, and fairies' seasons to integrate serenity, abundance, joy, and magic into your life. This is episode 36, The TooMuch Woman Travels in Time, episode 1, Lessons from the Past, on Visibility, Privilege, and Perception. I am Isayabel, Creatrix, magical pragmatic inspiration mentor, tech goddess teacher, and traveling priestess, and this podcast aims to accompany you for peaceful and inspiring evenings. Isaya's Inspiring Evenings is published very irregularly, and you will find more info and the references I am talking about on my website, isayabel.com. Subscribe to the podcast on the platform of your choice to be informed of the publication of each new episode. If you like this podcast, you can support it by leaving stars, blue thumbs, and reviews on whatever platform you listen to me. Lessons from the past on visibility, privilege, and perception. Picture this. Train station, Jodhpur, India, 1980. I am 13 years old. My hippie parents and myself have been travelling across India for 2 months. It's August, monsoon time. The temperatures are over 45 degrees Celsius most days. I'm talking here about a kind of travel that excludes any type of air conditioning, real comfort or luxury, and includes backpacks, flowery dresses, public transportation, and dodgy hotels. As a choice, my dad in particular was very keen on meeting the locals, living like they do, and so forth. Of course, that still meant not drinking any water when a pill of Novocaine had not disinfected it, and other measures of basic survival. But anyway, back to my story. Here we are, waiting for hours on end for a train to arrive and take us to Jaipur. The train is late. My Swiss clockwork-obsessed father had us arrive early to the station. The train is very late. We're talking hours. It's hot. I gave up the last 2 seats to my parents. I'm standing. I'm blonde, rather plump, white-skinned, wearing a white t-shirt and a flowery skirt. There is a crowd of Indian people in that train station, walking and standing, sitting and even lying on the floor. I feel like I'm in the middle of an ant-hill, a hive of activity, all dark-coloured. Slowly, I come into the realization that I am in the middle of a circle that has formed around us. There must be 100 people around us, and I, the blonde, white girl, am the center of attention. They are looking at me. No hatred of any sort or bad vibe. Just sheer curiosity and interest. I am the oddity, the rarity. Remember, this is 1980 in a remote train station. Mass tourism hasn't reached there and then. The heat, the pressure, the weirdness. I faint, literally collapse to the floor. It seems my brain and my body have no choice. I lose consciousness. Too visible to be bearable. I choose to disappear. So symbolic, don't you think? Did that ever happen to you? Maybe in a less obvious way, but this feeling, I have no choice but to disappear. I have come to understand that this event has shaped part of the way I am, or not, visible in the world today. And every time I become too visible, I choose to disappear for a while. I lose contact with the exterior world. I don't faint anymore, but I do vanish from social media, for instance. Does that ring a bell? Have you ever realized that those small events in our lives shape the very way we act and react still today? It's not always the big traumatic things. Sometimes it's the little things. Tell me yours if you feel like it. Now, this is the day I learned what standing out means, what being visible means, what being the odd one out means, for real. No metaphor here. And I also learned how to react by hiding, by choosing to disappear. It took me years to really understand, to unravel the why and the how, and then some more decision-making and time until I stopped doing that and chose to do something different. But the event I'm describing did not finish there. There is a follow-up, and it comes with an altogether different lesson and message. As soon as I faint, immediately, and I've been told that, I don't remember it, a well-dressed man comes to the rescue, signals the crowd to leave, brings a small electric fan and some water for me to drink, which I want, never keen and all. He explains in English to my parents that he's waiting for the same train that we are, and that he will find a way for us to be in his first-class compartment, so that your daughter can fully recover in peace. By then I have come to my senses, and my mom has given me her seat. So here I am, recovering and being altogether pampered. The train arrives, and the Indian gentleman keeps his word. By some magic, the four of us end up in the same first-class compartment. I know for a fact my father did not pay first class. He would have felt such a traitor to his hippie values. And my mum and dad, very grateful nonetheless, start a conversation with the man. The train has not moved for an hour. We are still waiting for it to depart. The whole situation is quite friendly, and I can see my father relaxing. He seems to have finally found someone to talk to, a local that actually is interested in an intellectual exchange, not a mere commercial one. My parents had a lot of their hippie dreams ripped from them during this trip, and wait for more. At some point, a crippled, obviously very poor and very sick man, barely able to walk with old wooden crutches, who was passing by our train on the platform. This man literally collapses inside our compartment, on the floor. And the gentleman, the Indian man my father and mother had made friends with, the man who had dispersed the crowd, telling the people I needed air and to leave us alone, this friendly man, clearly a person of high caste, simply kicks the old, crippled, sick man out of the train. With his feet. Like you would a dog that has rabies. Like you wouldn't a dog, as a matter of fact. We are stunned, shocked, appalled. No words. Without doubt, the crippled man was an untouchable. And I am not here to discuss the virtues and vices of the Hindu religion and society. Just one thing. Privilege. This was the day. And remember, I was 13. I understood privilege. In my skin, in my bones, in my body. I was and am forever a privileged one, and there is nothing I could do or say that would change that. Nothing I did, nothing I had, nothing I was granted me this privilege. Sheer luck. I can never unsee or forget that event. I can never answer or forget my privilege. I know it in my cells now. And it comes with a huge responsibility. I will come back to this. What those two stories have in common is perception. Perception is everything. How I see the events, how I see the people around me, white, Indian, poor, rich, odd one out, or not. I create my world with my perceptions, and then with my reactions, with my actions. As from that day, I consciously decided to create a world where equality exists between humans, and I do, every day. I focus some of my energy on treating everybody in the same way, on challenging my bias, and I never, ever forget that this privileged status gives me a responsibility to act. Because I can, when others can't. Because I have a voice. Because I am white, rich, and free. So I do. Even when I feel I'm unhappy, not rich enough, discriminated against for being a woman, not free enough, less privileged than others, etc., I remember that old crippled man whose life seemed to have no value, whose mere existence had no worth, 40 years ago. And I cry and feel so freaking lucky. What perceptions can you challenge around your own happiness or difficulties and see the gifts in your life, the abundance in your life, the awesomeness in your life? I'll be happy to hear you on these few ideas. Thank you in advance for your comment. So much for today. See you soon for my next online adventures. Until then, I send you love, light, and gratitude. Isaya. That's it for this episode. The next one is still in creation. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, if you want to support this podcast, share, subscribe, and leave stars, blue thumbs, and a review on whichever platform you listen to. If you want to be accompanied in the change processes that life offers you, if you want to participate in the awakening of feminine energy in the world, if you want to live your life as a goddess, know the secrets of witches, and apply the rituals of fairies in your daily life, contact me on my website, isayabel.com. You can also subscribe to my newsletter to be informed of all the news in the real and virtual world of Isayabel. You will, of course, find this podcast on all platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., but also on YouTube and on my site, isayabel.com, on the podcast page.